That, ladies and gentlemen, is the power of bleach. These are the two rocks I brought home the other day, the big flat ones. I had the large one sitting in this fish tank. This is just in my shower. This is where I do a lot of my messier stuff, as you can see. Um, I had the larger one soaking in hydrogen peroxide water overnight, and I got a reaction. That's why I was actually going to put it in my tank last night, but I sprayed it with hydrogen peroxide, and I did get a very instantly noticeable reaction with some oxygen being released, which told me that despite my scrubbing with very hot water and a scrub brush, I did not, in fact, get all the microbial and organic life off of the rock, and that's why I was getting a reaction with the hydrogen peroxide. So I put it in water overnight that had some hydrogen peroxide in it, but I was not satisfied with that. I only did that honestly because I didn't have any bleach on hand. And I got a little bit of bleach this morning, and I put about, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 ounces in this 10-gallon fish tank with those two rocks that I had. And the one on the bottom was the one that was in the hydrogen peroxide and water overnight. And you can see I'm getting plenty of reaction off of that as soon as the bleach went in the water. Now, some of that reaction with the bleach is probably with the hydrogen peroxide itself. They're both very powerful oxidizers, and that's why you're getting those bubbles like that. But those bubbles are killing stuff. So this is a very, very obvious visual demonstration of what I would have been putting in my tank had I not begun this bleach treatment. Now I got to get going for the day. I got stuff I got to get done, but I will be back this afternoon, and after about 6 or 8. All right, everybody, here it is about 4 hours later. All reaction has stopped. I do want to make a couple of points here, though. One is when I got home, the reaction had apparently stopped, but when I stirred the water, I started seeing some more reaction again. So that's important to note. Once the bleach that is in contact with something reacts and does its thing, it's done. It can't do it again. So you've got to bring fresh bleach molecules in contact with what you want to kill. So an occasional little stir of the water is always a good idea. And before you take your stuff out of your bleach water, you always want to give it a stir and then have another double check and make sure you're not getting any reaction. So I did that. All reaction has now stopped. So we're ready to move on to the next stage, which is rinsing. And in this case, you will notice I have some light suds on the surface of the water. I used, and I did not have any choice, well, I suppose I could have gone up to the store and got some other bleach, but unfortunately the bleach we had is the splash-proof stuff that's really thick. Now, that is thickened up using a surfactant. So you really, really do not want to use that if you can avoid it. I'm really not sure why my flash just shut off. I think my phone's probably overheating at this point. But at any rate, you do not want to use any kind of bleach that has any soaps or fragrances added, anything like that. You just want to use basic bleach. I'm aware of the fact that I've used bleach with a thickening agent in it, and so I'm going to go to great lengths. In fact, this is not going to be done rinsing until tomorrow because it's going to get another good soaking and rinsing and soaking and rinsing cycle until tomorrow when I feel confident that we can start moving forward with putting it in the tank. So sit tight and we will get on with the process. Okay, everybody, we're a little further along the line as far as preparing this rock. This is the larger of the two, and I've been working on scrubbing it. This is actually the unattractive side, and the side that's going to be facing down in the tank. We won't be looking at this. But all of that sort of black looking stuff concerns me. I'm not sure what it is, but that's where I keep getting reaction from the hydrogen peroxide that I spray on there. This was almost completely black when I started this process, and I've basically just been soaking it and scrubbing it with a very stiff bristled scrub brush and nothing more. So let's spray some more hydrogen peroxide on here, and we're going to see what happens. I suspect we're going to go out to see a little bit of a reaction, and then you will know what I'm talking about when I say reaction. See what I mean? Look at all that reaction. All those little foamy, sudsy bubbles. That's what I want to see. And I'm going to keep doing this until I don't really see a whole lot of that anymore. Now, again, I'm not a chemist. I don't really know exactly what makes hydrogen peroxide react with what. it's not necessarily 100% positive that because I'm getting a reaction means I have microbial life on there. It may be simply organics. Any way you slice it, I don't really want to get a reaction with this hydrogen peroxide when I spray it on there. I also will go into further detail about that later in this video, because I'm assuming if you take the rocks that you have brought home from the fish store and you spray them with hydrogen peroxide, or you dip them in bleach the way we did earlier in this video, you will probably get a similar reaction. And I have more thoughts on that a little bit later once we get these rocks treated up and we're going to start looking at them in situ, getting them in the tank. So sit tight, and we will be on to the next process here as I continue scrubbing these rocks down and treating them, and hopefully by tomorrow we will be have them ready for the tank. So sit tight. Alright, now I just got the other rock. It's kind of hard to tell, they're laying on top of each other there. But we're going to go ahead and spray this one. This one I've been scrubbing a lot less than the other one. This one has been sort of my secondary rock. And we're going to spray this and see if we get a similar reaction. It's kind of hard to tell with the glare, but we are. And in this case, you can actually kind of see the vapors rising up off of there. I don't know if that's coming out or not, but if you see that, it sort of looks like wispy smoke. That is pure oxygen. So a lot of reaction is going on there when you can actually see what looks like vapors rising up off of it. That's releasing a lot of oxygen. So these still have a long way to go, and we're going to go ahead and put them back in and keep treating, and we'll give them another hour or two and we'll scrub them down again and do it all over. Alright everybody, here we are on day 2 or 3 at this point, I'm not sure. I've been soaking this again overnight in bleach. I've stirred it several times. I've scrubbed it now. I've been rinsing it down. I'm actually in the process of doing a water change on the new tank I'm working on. I added the last of my substrate, so we're now ready for the rocks to start going in. And I'm satisfied that this is clean. I did some more research about the hydrogen peroxide, and while there is a compound in living tissue called catalase that is highly reactive to hydrogen peroxide, which is why it bubbles so much when you put it on a cut, and which is why it acts so well as a disinfectant. But it also does react to other, there's certain metals and minerals that it'll react to. So I'm not too concerned with the reaction we're getting, but I did want to show you one more time. I'm going to spray it again, and we should actually see some vapors coming off of it again this time, and it should be nice and clear for you. So let's see what happens. I mean, you can see immediately it's reacting, and there you go. You can see all those vapors. That's all just oxygen being released. So I'm still getting a very strong positive reaction when I spray it with the hydrogen peroxide. So again, I'm not sure whether that means there's any biologicals still on there. Could the biologicals still be on there but dead? I suppose that's a possibility. As long as the chemical catalase is present, we're going to get that immediate and rapid response like that, or reaction like that. So I'm confident at this point that this rock is safe to put in my tank. The other one is still in there. I haven't pulled that out or rinsed it yet, and you can still see the amount of reaction we're getting off of there. So I'm going to keep on working on this. I'm going to go ahead and rinse it down, get it good and thorough cleaned. I'm going to scrub it as much as I can, and we're going to get working on starting to put them in the tank and see what they look like. And we're going to do one final update before we actually get this rock over into the other room. I flipped it over, and I mentioned the other day, I guess I could say earlier in this video, that was the ugly side we were looking at that had all that black stuff on it that I was scrubbing off, and that black stuff is where we were getting the reaction. This is the side we're going to be looking at in the tank. This is the pretty side. So watch what happens with the side that does not have any black stuff all over it. It is pretty much just like putting water on there. No reaction whatsoever. Well, I can't say no reaction. There's some tiny little suds here and there, but there could be that much microbial life just in the air getting on it. So a reaction like that doesn't bother me. A reaction like we were seeing on the other side tends to concern me a little bit. Here's a rock. Let's just look at this one. This has been lying in there for quite a while. Let's see what happens with this one. See, that is again covered in stuff. I wouldn't want to put that directly in my tank before cleaning that up a little more thoroughly. So I have just convinced myself that I'm not done with this rock. I am going to go ahead and get back to work on the other side and sterilize that some more. So we'll continue. And that's what it looks like in the tank finally. So the other one that we were looking at is right here, which also looks good in there. And now everything in there is just sort of in there to give me something to work with. That's not how it's going to look by any means. Now I want to make it clear that I have always used rocks that I have collected in the same manner that we've collected these, and I've never had any issue, and I've never gone through this lengths to sterilize them before either. Every time I've prepared rocks for my tanks in the past, it's always been just good hot water and either a wire brush or a really stiff bristled scrub brush and just a really good thorough scrubbing down. And I've never had any issue with any kind of parasites or anything. That's not to say I couldn't, I just haven't. And that's why I'm being so hypercritical about it on this case. I'm sure 3 days of soaking in bleach water, whether I'm still getting a little bit of reaction off of that black stuff on the back side of that rock or not, which I was, I'm not worried about this tank being contaminated with anything. And that's the only reason I've been so hypercritical, is I don't want to start this tank on the wrong foot. This is going to be the first tank I've really ever put a lot of effort, time, and thought into, so I don't want to start off contaminated. So now that that's in there and we've got something else to work with, I have actually gone out and collected a few more rocks over the last couple days. These have already been prepared and are ready to go. This one, as beautiful as the color and texture is of the side, I think this is going to make for a very good upright and what I keep referring to as a structural rock. It even gives me a little bit of something to work with as far as putting another rock on top of that. I particularly like this one because of the amount of white streaking it has through it. While I've got plenty of the rich earth tones on this side, I think I can probably work with that, and the light coloration will really make it pop without being too out of place and looking unnatural in the tank. So I got a lot to work with now, and then that's the other third very large one that I just brought home. And give you a size scale, I don't want to get my fingers caught under there, but that is another nice one that we'll be able to do a lot with as far as a foundational rock. I will explain what the plastic's for as we talk about my process of setting the tank up, but for the final part of this video I do want to talk about how I make sure the rocks are non-reactive and will not actually cause any issue or change my pH or water chemistry when they go in the tank. So give me a minute to get a little experiment set up, and I will show you how to very easily check to find out if you have reactive rocks or you have non-reactive rocks. Alright everybody, now keep in mind that we're doing this under the assumption that we're looking for non-reactive rocks. We're not looking for rocks that are going to affect your water chemistry, buffer your pH, or anything like that. If you're looking for that, you need a different video than this one. We are looking for inert rocks that are not going to affect your water chemistry. So, simple test you can do. Acetic acid, pour some acetic acid on your rock and see whether it reacts or not. Now, acetic acid is just a fancy way of saying vinegar. I've got a great big jug of it right there. I want to show you what you would see if you would get a reaction. Now, I don't have any limestone around here, but I do have calcium carbonate. Now, just to demonstrate that this is not calcium bicarbonate, which is your effervescent fizzy drink, I'm going to drop it in here, which is water. And you get no reaction whatsoever, which is the same thing you would happen if you drop some limestone into water. You really would not get any reaction at all. So this is about a 5 to 7% acetic acid solution, and that is exactly the reaction you would get if you dropped a piece of limestone into a weak acid like this. So if we were to get a reaction at all from this rock, I would not want to use it in my tank. and as you can see, it's just puddling up on there, and we're getting no reaction whatsoever. So this rock is something that I would not hesitate to put in my tank. I'm 100% confident that will not affect my water chemistry. Again, you can see how drastically and rapidly acid will affect any kind of calcium-based or limestone-based rock. The water does not. Now, that is dissolving into the water. Again, if this was limestone and we were testing the pH in this cup, this would be a very different video. The pH is being dramatically affected by that, but that's not what we're looking for. I just wanted to show you what the reaction you would get if you poured vinegar onto a reactive rock. So as long as you get no reaction, you're good to go. So the next step is going to be getting all these things in the tank and start situating them in a way that looks pleasing to the eye. So that'll be for the next video. Thanks for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe for all the future updates, and if you want to watch my progress putting this tank together, and I look forward to seeing you real soon. Thanks a lot.